Want to become an RC pilot in 2021? On this episode, I'll walk you step by step on how to get started. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, welcome. I'm JR, the Traveling Tech Guy. On this channel, we create videos to help you start off on the right track in choosing and flying RC model airplanes without spending a lot of money. We also travel around to different events around the area to show you what the hobby is all about. So if this interests you, please consider subscribing, hit the bell notification to never miss another episode like this. When you're first starting out in the hobby, it's really easy to get overwhelmed when you're wading through the huge selections of planes and gear. From trainers to jets, electric to gas, all with the prices that go from inexpensive to I'd have to win the lottery first. While this video won't be a deep dive into specific brands or listings of technical specs, I will be providing general information to help you make solid decisions now that will help you save money in the long run. So let's jump right into it. Now before you hit that buy button, one of the most important questions you have to ask yourself, where am I going to fly? Your flying location will, for the most part, dictate what type and size of airplane you will be able to fly. The larger the airplane, the more space you will need to fly that airplane. If you're planning on flying at a park, like a city or county park, or even an open field, you'll need to see if there's enough open space to begin with for the size of aircraft you want to fly. Other things to look out for: does it have any obstructions like trees, power lines, buildings, or is it a high pedestrian or auto traffic area where you'll be flying? And probably one of the most important things, you'll also want to find out if there are any restrictions against flying at that park to begin with. Nothing worse than going out for a good day of flying only to have it ruined by receiving a ticket. And one more thing to think about. The flying area that you pick, you need to know if it's close to an airport or is in the direct flight path of full-scale aircraft, because the last thing you want to have is a possible collision. One of the places that hits all the check marks for places to fly, that's going to be an A.M.A chartered flying field, if you happen to live fairly close to one. Most fields are set up in rural locations with plenty of space to accommodate most any scale of model airplanes. One perk, you'll find a lot of friendly, like-minded enthusiasts who are eager to help you become a great pilot. There are a few things you need to know about flying sites and RC clubs, but we'll get into that later in the video. Choosing the right first airplane is crucial to the learning and growing of your skills as an RC pilot. The best choice for someone just starting out is going to be to buy a trainer. It may not have the cool factor like a Mustang or a jet would have, but a trainer is specifically designed for the beginner in mind and is built to provide more stable flight. This gives a beginner a better chance of successfully flying the first time, the second time, and the third time. Most of the popular trainers being sold today come ready to fly, or RTF, and some are sold as bind and fly, or BNF. The best thing about ready to fly models, you get everything in the box. You get a fully assembled airplane, installed electric motor, an installed electronic speed controller, or ESC, a 4-channel transmitter, installed receiver, receiver battery, battery charger. All you gotta do is charge the battery and go flying. There are a few more versions you need to know about, such as bind and fly that I mentioned earlier. It's similar to the ready to fly model, with the exception of it doesn't come with a transmitter or battery. Those you'll have to buy separately. Then there's ARF, or almost ready to fly. It's just the plane is all you get in the box. You have to buy the rest of the equipment to complete it, like the power plant, servos, and batteries to power the receiver and or electronic ignition if you're going with a gas engine. Basically what you get in the box, you get a built plane that is already covered and you have to spend a few hours assembling it. Then there's a lesser known model that still is out there, is ARC, or ARC, better known as almost ready to cover. It's the same as the almost ready to fly, but there's no film covering on the airplane, so you have to do all the ironing of the cover. And last but not least, there's plug and play, or PMP. This is usually an electric airplane where you'll have to install your own receiver and a battery for your receiver, as well as provide your own battery charger. From all of these choices, it's usually best for a beginner to go with a ready to fly trainer, as everything is included in the box for one low price. If you're finding value in this video so far, please give it a thumbs up as it helps my channel with the YouTube algorithm to be able to reach out to more folks like you. Now when it comes to transmitters, I can say this is the one area where it's definitely easy to get overwhelmed, especially when trying to decide which brand and which model to buy. You can find everything from a basic 4-channel all the way up to an 18-channel beast. Prices also range from very inexpensive to thousands of dollars. The majority of transmitters today are computer controlled and start out with 6 channels. You'll be able to store the settings of multiple airplanes and switch between them with the press of a button. With the extra 2 channels, you can add planes that have flaps and retract gear to your fleet of airplanes. Sadly, with the basic 4-channel transmitter, you can only fly one airplane unless you want to constantly change the settings for each plane each time you want to fly. So you're going to waste a lot of time resetting it up each time for each plane. Just the way it is. So that's why I'm recommending to go with a 6-channel computer controlled transmitter. It'll store all your settings for each one of your airplanes, and all you gotta do, like I said, press a button, you can switch between them. There are transmitter manufacturers that are leading the way with built-in assistive technology to give beginners every opportunity to successfully learn how to fly. Some even have a panic button to bring the aircraft to a level flight so you can recover and keep on flying. Now, over manipulation of the controls is usually one of the biggest causes of crashes for beginners and some seasoned pilots. The receiver is the main link between you and your airplane. It takes the incoming signal from your transmitter and sends it to the servos to perform such functions as increase or decrease the throttle. Because each manufacturer uses their own proprietary communication protocol, you'll have to match the same brand of receiver to the transmitter, like Futaba to Futaba, Spectrum to Spectrum, and so on. The beautiful thing about all of the transmitters, they operate off the 2.4 gigahertz frequency range. And all current transmitters and receivers make use of some type of frequency hopping method. This prevents another transmitter from interfering with the signal from your transmitter. When you bind your receiver to your transmitter, that creates a solid, unbreakable bond. And that's how we are able to fly 3, 4, 6 airplanes at a time in the sky without anybody interfering with anybody else. Like the receiver, a servo is just another important link between you and your airplane. The servo is responsible for the actual movements of control surfaces like the rudder. Servos come in different sizes, torque, as well as a choice of plastic, titanium, or metal gears. Whether you're flying a micro airplane or a large-scale 3D aerobatic airplane, there's a servo that can handle it. Just as equally important in the link between you and your plane is the battery. Batteries come in many different chemical compositions, voltages, and milliamp capacities. You'll find a selection of NiCad, nickel metal hydride or NIM, or lithium polymer or LiPo, and life batteries. Most electric-powered planes use either LiPo or life batteries, while nitro or gas-powered airplanes, you can choose between NiCads, NIMs, life for your power source. Personally, on my nitro and gas airplanes, I either use NiCads or I use nickel metal hydrides. Let's take a minute to talk about the different power plants. As a beginner, you choose to buy a ready-to-fly or a bind-and-fly or even a plug-and-play model. Most of those airplanes come with an electric motor already installed with the airplane. So it takes the guesswork out of what size motor and what type of or size of electronic speed controller you have to buy. But if your plane requires a nitro or gas engine, you have a little more flexibility to work with. In the owner's manual for the airplane, it will usually give you a recommended minimum and maximum size of an engine for that particular plane. Most listings will read something like this. It'll take a .46 two-stroke up to a .52 four-stroke nitro engine, or a 30cc to a 60cc gas engine, or it will list the size of electric motor and speed controller that the plane will accept. Now, when it comes to learning how to fly, you really have 3 ways to learn. 1, you can do it on your own and hope for the best. 2, find an instructor to work with at a flying field. Or 3, install a flight simulator on your computer. Now, if you choose to go it alone with your first flight, depending on the type of plane you have, you may end up with a very short flight. Then you would have to shell out more money for replacement parts or for a complete new airplane. This could lead to you becoming very discouraged and quit the hobby altogether. Now, working with an instructor is probably the most optimal way to learn to fly. In most cases, the instructor can link your transmitter to theirs through a buddy box system. The instructor would handle all of the takeoffs and landings while the student gets to fly. The instructor can guide the student on how to fly, and if something goes wrong, with the flip of a switch, the instructor can take over control of the airplane, get it back to level flight, and let the student have a go at it again. This is the way many RC pilots have learned how to fly through the years. But what if you don't have any access to an instructor or a flying field? The next best step would be a flight simulator for your computer. The flight sim will help you learn the basics of controlling the airplane, how to fly the airplane, plane orientation on whether it's coming towards you or going away, and it helps you build up muscle memory so that you don't have to think, do I need to turn right or do I need to turn left? It just all becomes automatic. And the one good thing is the planes in the sim are designed to have the same flight characteristics as the actual model. So you can try your hand at flying all kinds of models, from trainers to warbirds, jets to drones, and a whole variety of helicopters. The main in-demand simulator right now is Real Flight Simulator version 9.5 from Horizon Hobby. The sim has about 160 different model aircraft to choose from, and most of those models are being sold right now on the market. So you can try out an airplane to see if you're going to like the way it flies before actually buying. Real Flight 9.5 retails for about 180 bucks, which is a small investment that will save you a lot of money in the long run. It's better to crash in the simulator and start over fresh with a new airplane, thanks to a reset button, than to go out to a field and actually crash your airplane, replace it, rinse and repeat. You know how it goes. Easily can add up to money and cost you way more than a $180 investment you start with in the simulator. So I would highly recommend you get one. And I'll put a link down in the description if you want to check it out. Now, be warned, at the time of shooting this video, Real Flight 9.5 is on back order. So you'll have to keep checking back to see when it becomes available again, because once they get them in stock, they do sell out pretty fast. Now, once you made the decision you are going to stay in the hobby, it's time to ditch that basic 4-channel transmitter and get yourself a 6-channel. This one investment will save you money, because each time you buy a new airplane, you won't have the added cost of adding another transmitter. You can program your 6-channel to hold all the settings for each individual model and then switch between them with the push of a button. If you haven't done so yet, be sure to check out my top 5 transmitters for 2020 video that's still relevant for 2021 and beyond. Either click on the card above or down in the link in the description below. As promised, here's a little word about A.M.A chartered flying sites and RC clubs. Most of them will let you come fly as a guest for a few times, then they may ask you to join their club in order to keep flying there. Membership dues to these clubs will vary from club to club, but all will require you at some point to become a member of the Academy of Model Aeronautics, or A.M.A. The A.M.A is our governing organization that sets the safety guidelines for all clubs to follow. The A.M.A also represents all hobbyists on a governmental level to prevent the government from enacting overreaching rules that would be detrimental to our hobby. For more information about the A.M.A, click on the link in the description below. Now, in my opinion, spending the day soaring through the sky while keeping your feet on the ground is as close to a perfect day as a perfect day can get.